And let's do it. Hey everybody, it's James, otherwise known as Escape Punk Lefty, back here with another video. It's not like the most views in the world, but I do appreciate almost 200 people watching my last video. So I'm kind of digging in here and kind of getting in there. And if you care about my opinions and stuff like that, definitely leave a like, subscribe and stuff. But let's get to the meat and potatoes, if you will, in the seasoning of this video. So anyways, as you all know by the name of this channel, I am a black leftist, right? And as a black leftist, I seek not necessarily the liberation of only black people, but better lives for all working class people. And that reminds me of the Black Panther Party, where it was lots of black men and women that were, communists, socialists, anarchists. They were pro-gun rights. They protected their neighborhoods. They fed children in school and lunch programs. They tutored people who were having trouble reading and writing. And they even had a free clinic in some branches and stuff like that. Lately, the reason why I'm pulling this up is because I noticed that we've been having a surge of content on the internet, like this person, Jeremy Hill right here, of anti-black woman hysteria. And it's mostly, of course, directed towards black men. And I keep coming across these type of debates on TikTok, which I might link in the description, might as well. But the point being is that I noticed that in society, even ever since I was a kid, there's a lot of content dumping on black women. And then I sometimes speak to my wife because she's pretty smart into like theology and psychology and like how can I say social thinking and stuff like that, especially being a black woman and experiencing anti-blackness herself. And then it's also from my perspective as a man, and of course as both being leftist, that we discuss why are we seeing this surge in hysteria berating and putting down black women. And the real reason why, if you ask me, James, is because these pictures right here of the Black Panther Party. Now, as we know, black people have to deal with a very unique situation in America where we deal with very unique forms of oppression, otherwise known as systemic racism. A lot of black people realize this and will sometimes go on to lead movements or voting blocs that seek liberations for black people and other marginalized groups. And to prevent that black socialist thinking over the past, I want to say especially 60 years or so, they have unalived a lot of our leaders like Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King that spoke of actual not just black unity, but just unity among working class people in general. I want to put on a pair of glasses because I think they make me feel smart. Plus, I can see the screen better. But anyways, they want to prevent black solidarity, and they damn sure want to prevent black people from building solidarity with other marginalized groups, such as women, queer people, especially the white working class. So how do they convince black people to vote and organize against their own interests? They don't really have to do a lot of work, to be honest with you, and I view a lot of these creators on YouTube to be removed from the processes of government intervention in the black politics. But I feel like these people are a symptom of a cancer, a rot in our community, where there's a lot of black people, especially young black men, feeling displaced and antagonized, and before they can find somebody that gives them the correct answers about the unique systemic oppression that they're dealing with, they find jerks that tell them that their oppression is brought upon them by our own women, who at the end of the day have less rights than us. To set the stage before we get to the video, you have to keep in mind, despite being slightly more educated than black men, black women make less. Black women are most likely to be unalived in medical situations. Black women are most likely to have to deal with domestic violence. Black women are most likely to have to deal with abuse and SA. Black women are victims of systemic inequality just as much, if not more, than black men. Not to mention the fact, if you want to speak about oppression, you have a lot of clowns that would like pull up videos of somebody like Megan Thee Stallion, who's a very wealthy woman, or Cardi B, these wealthy black women, to help overwrite and ignore the very real systemic oppression that black women deal with alongside of us. you would notice something from all these guys where, for some odd reason, they never are criticizing white supremacy. They're never criticizing white people. They're never criticizing capitalism. They're never criticizing real inequality. And you get these clowns and puppets, like Malcolm X said, that make millions of videos berating and putting down black women. And it's ridiculous how much views this stuff get. And, you know, this stuff is obviously to veer black men into voting and organizing their own interests. But there's a very hard truth to this, which I might repeat at the end of the video that I choose to go over. Putting down, neglecting, ignoring, and berating black women will not fix the situation that black men are in. It will not. I have ideas on what can fix it, and I'm not going to even bother saying them in this video. But what won't help is berating our mothers, our sisters, our aunts and our aunties or aunts, whichever one you want to say. You know, the people that raise us, the people that protest for us, the people that cry for us, the people that take risk for us when we are at our lowest is the black woman. White women are not, or any other race of woman, is not cartwheeling around saving black men from from the inequalities that we deal with. That's a lie that never happens, especially towards white women, because this is a one that might be hard to believe. A lot of white women are white supremacists, and they don't like black guys, and they think of us as N-words, just dirty N-words. So with that being said, let's play whack-a-mole and pick the stupidest video I can think of. I think I really wanted to go over these where it was talking about don't approach black women in 2025. I was going to do a longer one, but I'm sure he's going to say the same talking points over again. So I'm actually going to relent, and I'm going to do the short one. Look in the mirror. Man, you're so dirty. Usually a lot of the time when I do these videos and what have you, I like to say too much before the intro, but I'm not going to give the talking points that counter him until he actually gets on here and start talking. Look at this guy, musty back heifers. And it has a bunch of weed on him. See, I'm not going to analyze this sticker. This is stupid. Every race of woman has been known to smoke marijuana. This is ridiculous on his face. Like,
welcome to the Jeremy Hill Show. If you're easily triggered, leave now, because this is not the show for you. Now, I may make this into a series. What I'm going to show you.
I cannot stand these people, you know, because I was arguing with some Uncle Toms earlier. You can say that. That's not a racist term. Nice ambulance. Stay, boy. But it's like they claim to be so anti-political correct in saying something that nobody heard before, but repeating white supremacist talking points and defending the status quo of the rich over the poor or heteronormativity is not saying anything groundbreaking.
You in this reaction video is another reason why you should not approach the modern day black woman,
another
in my most humble opinion, without first considering these particular things. So let me go ahead and get into it. Hold on one second, y'all. Hope y'all doing all right today. Boom, boom, boom.
For once, this guy's low-key kind of quiet compared to me.
Like I always say, baby. Let's get it.
Learned in life. What's that? A man got to know who to date and who not to date. And what I mean by that is, if there's a woman, y'all listen very carefully. There's a woman that can bring violence out you or make you change who you are as a man. Run from that woman. Like,
okay. I'll tell you something. He is 100% correct. There are men who are good men who may even have great emotional regulation. Men who are greatly disciplined, self-disciplined men. If they get with the wrong woman, she can change him. A man who is mild-mannered, a man who is not confrontational or aggressive, could easily transform into a man who is abusive, violent, and aggressive if he gets with the wrong woman. Excuse me. Because a woman, she will latch on to the emotions of a man. She knows how to provoke a man. And a lot of men have found themselves in
I
situations.
know I'm sitting frozen, but so far I low key sort of agree with him. And this is one thing that I was gonna get at, ironically enough, about people that complain a lot about their experiences with black women or just women in general. A lot of white guys can even take advice from this. If you keep having bad experiences with women and you keep coming across women that are superficial, mean, that cause for you to change who you are as a person, that you feel like you have to become a completely new person to impress, such as being more belligerent, or you got to be more flashy with your money and your achievements, that's not the woman for you. And that is actually, ironically enough, very good advice. But also keep in mind, for the context of this video, that can apply to a woman of any race. Because I do believe that, again, instead of sitting around crying on the internet saying women won't date me, go out and find a woman that actually loves you for who you are.
Of where they are doing things that they would not normally do for the love of a woman, because they have been convinced that this is the only option. This particular behavior, this particular direction is the direction I need to go to get the desired results. Or they may be reactionary. A man who is self-disciplined, who can control his emotions and his reactions, can also become reactionary, meaning she can do things that will provoke him and he will react in anger, violence, and disrespect. A woman, excuse me, a woman can make a clean man who has a clean house become dirty because he wants to be with that woman. She's a junkie woman.
I mean, I put it like this. It's all about what you let yourself get dragged along with. And again, as long as you avoid these types of women, you should not have a problem with this situation.
She's an unclean woman. And because of that, he becomes slightly dirty, slightly junky, slightly unclean, because he wants the love of that woman.
And not to mention the fact, and please do not imply, some men always, because we're human beings too, have bad habits too that we can pass on to women. I want to make that clear. When you're in a relationship with somebody, whether you're just dating or you're married to one another, a man can pass on bad habits to his woman too. Like, for instance, my wife didn't used to drink pop, but now she drinks pop more often because of my bad influence. I even think she picked up saying curse words a little bit more than she used to. So,
you have to be careful.
That's light-handed compared to the grand scheme of things. But at the end of the day, I just want to make it clear, while I agree with what he's saying in his assessment about avoiding toxic women, let it be known that at the end of the day in all this, a man can pass on bad and toxic habits onto a woman, and a man can already be a bad person. Often at a time, also, when a man is going for a certain type of woman, and especially if they get concretely together, they probably, especially if they're bad people, they probably were both meant for one another. Not in a hysterical way to say that bad people get bad people, like I'm making fun of people, but sometimes when people, let's say they like to dabble in things we would view as uncleanly or ignorant, flock together. But then again, who are we to judge these habits? Because we're all human beings that don't have 100% good habits. No human does.
Careful about the type of women that you're dating, or not even dating, the type of woman that you decide to say, this is my girlfriend, fiance, or wife, because women do have the ability to corrupt a man's moral character if that man allows it.
And also, I'm gonna call this out because I'm starting to see the misogyny a little bit. Yes, that a woman can corrupt a man's personality, but a man can also corrupt a woman's personality. Just saying.
There are a lot of men who have taken the lives of other men who never contemplated premeditative murder, but took those men's lives because he thought that that man was sleeping with his quote unquote his woman. So you do have to be careful. Now I'm gonna put something else on the screen real quick. I'm gonna drive this
that's
home,
your
try to
lack
help
of
y'all out today.
self-control that gets you into a bad situation like that.
I think this is it right here. Okay. Put on your screen.
You're waiting, man.
Now pay close attention to this, please. Let's get it.
Most men in prison are there over a woman.
Oh, yes, they are.
We did this thing where we would be talking to
That is like literally one of the stupidest things I ever heard in my life. No. Most men that are in prison is not because of a woman. A lot of men are in prison, especially if we're talking. See, here we go again, bro, where they do this shit. So, black men are disproportionately, especially black men, are disproportionately locked up versus, of course, black women or men of other races except Hispanic people, which kind of keep par with us because black and brown. And, over criminalization, over policing of our neighborhoods and a bunch of other stuff I'm probably about to say anyway. So, the reason why people commit crime is, first of all, the situation that they're given. It's also their personal decision to go through with the crime. Often at a time when people commit crime, it's not really because of a woman. A lot of guys that are in prison are single. And then the ones that aren't single, let's say he was out there doing bad things to make do in his life, that's due to capitalism and a lack of opportunity given to these men. See, the problem is that, especially in the black community, we lack clean access to a good education. We live in a school to prison pipeline where school is meant to teach you how to behave, and if you don't behave, the school will literally call the police on you and they will send you to juvenile and charge you with a bunch of shit if you're not a well-behaved little boy all day. Even if you're technically a good person and you're defending yourself, but that's a whole another can of worms. Black neighborhoods are also over policed. It's proven statistically that black and white people commit crime at similar rates, but black people only get caught more because of the over policing. It's also shown that errors of things that happen, like the beginning of the war on drugs that continues to this day, or especially during the era of cities when they implemented stop and frisk, they're more likely to engage with young black men than any other demographic in America. And that's even at times where the men are not doing anything wrong. I believe most people that are locked up anyway is for non-violent offenses like drug possession. And the majority of those people locked up for drug possession was not necessarily dealing drugs. Some of them were even addicts. Some of them were people that just bought marijuana or whatever and got caught slipping. So it's very ignorant and tone deaf to say that the only reason why people are in prison is because of women, when literally the reason why people commit crime is because they live in environments that lack opportunity and are heavily impoverished.
A lot of inmates. And one time we had about 60. We broke it down, and everybody in there realized the root to why they were in prison was from a woman.
Some men think they girls gonna wait for them. They have phone time.
Yeah.
The girl to break up with that person on the phone. The guy gets so...
Okay, yeah, that happens and it sucks. But again, this is not women's fault. This is the fault of, again, the criminal justice system criminalizing black men. This is not the fault of black women. Those situations exist, and women, choose to move on rather than to wait, 5 or 10 years. And it's like, again, the reason why a lot of women move on, obviously, it's like, I'm not gonna say it's despicable, but it's painful to listen to and watch. But it's also to keep in mind, black men are sentenced longer than white men for the same crimes. And even after the time are sentenced to the death penalty if they do the wrong thing. Like they unalive a white person or something. So it's very ridiculous to say that it's women's fault that those men are in jail, and not really criticize the systemic injustices that all those men, regardless of race, lived in before they were caught by the police and locked up. It's very tone deaf. And again, I don't like this because, again, you see how they're pulling you away from revolutionary thinking. You're supposed to be thinking about why are my people treated this way, or why is, how you want to put it. But why are my people treated this way? Why am I in this situation? Why did I go through this, that, and the other? Instead of having a productive conversation where we're speaking about the over-policing of black neighborhoods and unfairness in the criminal justice system, we're somehow blazing this false dichotomy where we're blaming women. And I blame this mostly on Jeremy because I don't even know if Vlad TV really is a political entity, but with the context given to us by the title here, I think that's it's very tone deaf and ignorant. Not to mention this Jeremy Hill guy is also a conservative. He's on his channel defending Donald Trump and promoting right wing thinking about relationships and dating. And I'm sure he doesn't feel the best about black people. I'm sure he doesn't feel the best about women. Of course, this is an anti-black woman video. So it's just like at the end of the day, again, this is tone deaf and stupid. Like because it's like if you're gonna commentate over the man down here who looks like he's older than me, about probably like between 35 and 45, you should be speaking on the unfairness in the criminal justice system and in policing that black men deal with, and not try to use him speaking about how men are in prison for trying to be providers and blame that somehow on the women themselves. I think that's ridiculous. Who because like I said, I don't know this guy at the bottom, but I do know the guy at the top. And given the title of this video is important to note that, again, that this is, again, tone deaf and ignorant, and is meant to keep you away from revolutionary thinking and uniting with your people against the injustices that we deal with.
The press, they don't talk about this, but this is facts. They hang the phone up, go to the top of the tier, and jump off and commit suicide.
He's telling the truth. I'm gonna give you one of my personal experiences.
Here we go.
Because I was locked up several times. I've been locked up in jail, right? But when I was a young guy, a hustler, I didn't know everything. I was learning the game. I was part of the game. I was running game and stuff like that, whatever. I had a woman do that. You be on the phone with a woman and like, you think she's gonna wait for you or whatever like that, because that's what she, you think that because you're doing all these stupid shit for her. She leaves you for somebody else while you are inside. Now,
not to mention the fact that, especially if we're talking about adultery and ending relationships, the number one reason why women divorce men is because of adultery. Like, literally, you have men that are like 52 years old trying to mess around with their 20-something-year-old secretaries or workmates and stuff like that. So, it's very ignorant to say, like, women are just... putting men in situations where they have to commit crime and go to prison, and then leaving them and breaking their heart, and then walking away from the conversation like there's no more context to what's actually going on in society.
Old school mean an older gentleman sat me down in the day room where we meet down there to watch TV and shit like that. He told me, youngster, a young man, whatever he said, don't ever try to run your household while you behind walls. Don't do it. He said the reason why you have no power to do anything about what she's doing while you're locked up in here. He says if that woman is putting money on your books, you use that woman because you need your commissary. So when she's out there doing what she's doing and she's still putting money on your books, it's like pimping. Have her keep putting money on your books, on your commissary, and doing all the stuff you need to get handled out.
This sounds like extreme insecurity, dude. Every single time you wind up going to jail, the woman that you were with previously is not going to leave you. I just really don't believe that, because again, this is trying to paint a picture that women are these deviants that, because it's like this, if women really, if this woman in question really didn't love you, right, and she's waiting on a second to leave you, why doesn't she can just leave you outside of prison? And in fact, it'll be easier emotionally to leave you when you're out of prison rather than leaving you when you're in prison. Not to mention the fact that people have other priorities and things going on in their life. Not to mention, again, men do the same thing. When women do things that men don't like, we also leave them. I'm sure if your wife went away somewhere and she went to jail or something like that, I don't believe a guy, especially a right-wing guy, is just going to keep it clean and not talk to anybody else. It's hypocritical, especially knowing how men are.
Outside the walls, you got to do things for you, put on missions outside the walls, outside the jail cell, outside the prisons. Put on missions out there to get things done that you need to get done that you cannot do because you're behind these walls. You say you can't run your household from inside. Just accept the game for what it is.
So
and he
what
also
does this
told
have
me
to do with black women?
that if you get out and you do a whole lot of time and you are financially broke, you can't do nothing either. You can't do nothing then either. You have to stay with her, or she got to help you. You got to depend on that woman. Even though she did all those things, use her until you get on your feet, and then you ditch her. Now that sounds
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds extremely stupid and insecure because at the end of the day, a lot of men, ironically enough, are single because of insecurity. I call this insecurity bait. You see, women actually do have hearts, and women actually do fall in love with men more so than men do with women sometimes. And if a woman is really going through all this stuff for you, it's more than likely because she loves you and it's not for any other reason, like she's trying to get something out of you. Remember, you're the person that's broke and she's just trying to help you. How do you get, it's like they say, closed mouths don't get fed. If you want help from somebody during your time incarcerated or after, it's best that you tone down your testosterone and you let your lady look out for you. And she's doing it because she loves you. Stop being so freaking insecure and raise your hand for help sometimes. And I guess indirectly related to politics, that junk is amazingly stupid. Because again, like, how do you get on your feet with no help? And a lot of these guys, you know, that do this type of behavior, you know, you create like and it's like the dynamic he said earlier. That is literally bringing toxicity home. Like, you yelling at and berating somebody that loves you, that's trying to help you get on your feet. How disrespectful and ignorant is that?
It's cold, but it's the truth. All right. When you play the streets, you got consequences that comes, man. I've seen many men on the phone talking to their women before when I was locked up several times. You better not be doing this.
Hang on. Phone call. Guess who it is? Unlike this guy's mom. Where were we at? I don't know. Even after being paused right there, I don't really think that this is worth continuing, because he's not saying anything directly. Maybe this video is going to be a throwaway one. We'll see how I feel. But that's it.